This is Miss Humbert here. Today we're going to be doing Unit 9, Notes 3. So we're going to be talking about cylinders. So first thing, what is a cylinder? Well, a cylinder is a circular prism. Circular prism. Okay, the bases of a cylinder are going to be circles. That would make sense, right? Because that's what's going to make it a circular prism. All right, then the side of it is going to be a curved rectangle. So we talked about this a little bit when we talked about the net. So we're basically taking a rectangle and we're curving it around the circle. So you can kind of see that idea right there that's being curved around. So cylinders also have an altitude or a height. That's just basically how tall the cylinder is, and a radius. So this cylinder right here is what we would call an oblique cylinder because it's kind of tilted there to the side. So let's take a look at the areas of a cylinder. So to find the areas of a cylinder, we first need to figure out the lateral area. So the lateral area, remember when we learned about lateral area for prisms, that it was the perimeter times the height or the altitude. Now we're talking about a circle here. So the perimeter has a little bit of a different connotation. So when we're talking about perimeters in reference to a circle, we're actually talking about the circumference. And remember that a circumference of a circle is 2 pi r. So what's an even better formula for the lateral area of a cylinder is 2 pi r, so we do need to know the radius of the base, times the height. So we're going to take the radius of the base, times it by pi, and 2, and then the height. Okay, so then surface area. Now remember for prisms, the surface area is the lateral area plus 2 times the base. Okay, so then what we want to do is we want to go ahead and figure out what that means for us. So we know, first of all, that the lateral area is 2 pi RH. So I'm going to write that out that way, 2 pi RH. So that's taking care of that lateral area part. Then we want to do 2 times the area of the base. Well, the base is a circle, so we basically just need the formula for the area of a circle, which is pi r squared. So when you're talking about surface area, this is the formula I suggest you use because it has all your elements that you need. You need your radius, you need your height, you need pi, and you need 2. And then you pretty much have everything you need to calculate out the lateral area and the surface area of that cylinder. So let's go ahead and let's take a look. Let's find the lateral area and the surface area of the cylinder. So let's start by calculating the lateral area, right? Because we need that for our oh, my leg itches, in case you're wondering. We need that for our surface area. So the diameter of the base is 15. So that tells me that my radius is going to be half of that. So my radius is 7.5 millimeters. So now I want to plug that in to get my lateral area. Well, I'm going to have 2 times pi, and then I'm going to multiply that times the radius, which is 7.5. Then I need to take that and I need to multiply it by the height. Now the height given to me is 18. So then in my calculator I can type 2 times pi times 7.5 times 18. And when you multiply that out, you get 848.2 millimeters squared. So that's for your lateral area. Now, to get our surface area, remember that we need to take the lateral area, which is 848.2, and we need to add it to 2 times the base area. So that's going to be pi, and then our radius squared. So I can go ahead and I can type all of this into my calculator. 848.2 plus 2 times pi times 7.5 squared. So when I type that into my calculator, I end up getting 1,201.7 millimeters squared. We're talking about area for both of these, so our label is millimeters squared. Now remember that if you are rounding, if the number you're cutting off at is 5 or greater, you need to round up. If it's 4 or below, you need to round down. Now let's take a look at a couple more examples here. So this is actually number 2. I don't know why it says number 7, but hey, it makes you feel like you got farther, right? Okay, so let's go ahead and let's take a look at this. Find the lateral area and surface area of a cylinder with 5 inches and 9 inches. So first, again, we're going to calculate out that lateral area because that will help us. I'm getting a lot of emails. Goodness gracious. Okay. So find the lateral area. So my radius is 5, so I'm going to have 2 times pi times my radius, so that's going to represent my circumference, and then I need to take my circumference and multiply it by the height. So I have 2 times pi times 5 times 9. And when I type that into my calculator, I get 282.74 inches squared. So that's my final answer for number 7, or for the lateral area. Now, for the surface area, I need to take the lateral area, which is 282.74, and I need to add the area of my base times 2. So I'm going to do 2 times the area of my base, which is pi, and then my radius is 5, so I'm going to have 5 squared. So then in my calculator, I'm doing 282.74 plus 2 times pi times 5 squared. Why don't you go ahead and type that in your calculator? Make sure you know you're doing it right. So then you end up getting 439.82 inches squared. And that's your final answer for number 2. Let's take a look at number 3. So find the lateral area and surface area of a cylinder with a diameter of 6 and a height of 4.8. Well, if the diameter is 6, we need to divide that by 2 to get the radius. So my radius is 3 centimeters. So first, to calculate out the lateral area, I'm going to do 2 times pi times my radius. Then I'm going to multiply that times my height of 4.8. So then in my calculator, I'm going to do 2 times pi times 3 times 4.8. And when I do that, I end up getting 90.48, and then that's going to be centimeters squared, because again, we're talking about area, so our label is squared. Then for our surface area, we're going to take that 90.48, and then we're going to add 2 times our base area, which is going to be pi times r squared. So then I end up getting, when I do 90 plus 2 times pi times 3 squared. Go ahead and punch that in your calculator. Make sure you're doing it right. I get 147.03 centimeters squared. So that's the surface area for number 3. Last but not least, let's take a look at number 4 here. So a soup can is covered with the label shown. What is the radius of the soup can? So let's think about it this way. Okay, so this guy right here, this 15.7, is going to be our circumference. I ran out of room. Circumference. Okay, so that's, if you take that label and you kind of roll it together, the bottom of this is going to roll to be the base. So it's going to be the circumference of our base. So I'm going to take that number, 15.7, and I'm going to set it equal to 2 pi r, because 2 pi r is the formula for the area of a circumference. And guess what? We don't even need the height. That's just extra information that they gave us. So now what I'm going to do to solve for r is I'm going to divide both sides by 2 pi. So I'm taking 15.7 and I'm dividing it by 2 times pi. So when you type that in your calculator, make sure you put parentheses around the 2 pi, because you need to tell your calculator that 15.7 divided by 2 pi is all in the denominator. So then you get 2.50, and that's just going to be inches, because the radius is just a line. We don't need to square it. Okay, so that concludes your note video today. Go ahead and show me a completed note sheet when you are done. Thanks for listening.